3 rolls. Each number corresponds to a random question. Whatever you roll, that's where we start. Pressure's on.
Is this rigged?
No. When it was when they were virtual interviews, they might have been rigged. But not anymore. You did get my favorite question to start.
Okay, great.
I haven't asked this one in a while. Scream. I can only be asking one question if the topic is Scream.
Okay.
What's your favorite scary movie?
My favorite scary movie. I like a lot. I started with Nightmare on Elm Street when I was a little kid. Moved to Phantom of the Opera, like Lon Chaney. Like I did a horror film drawing class in elementary school, and obviously we had to stick with like the ones that are less.
What did you draw?
So we had Frankenstein. We watched Frankenstein. We watched Phantom of the Opera. We watched The Wolfman. Anything black and white that is like not scary anymore is kind of what we'd watch. And then I actually recently uncovered one of my old drawings. I showed it to Kylie when I was back home. My mom kept a lot of my stuff, and it is so. What is this? It's so creepy. It's one of those things. If your kid drew it and they weren't in a monster drawing class, you'd be like, "Oh, house is haunted." I'll have to find it and I'll send it to you.
I want to see it. That is a TikTok video, by the way. It's just a bunch of kids in a horror drawing class and seeing how much more monstrous their end products are than the actual thing in the movie.
Yeah, this was a nightmare. I was like, oh my God. But
I wish I was in that class.
I know. Yeah, I know.
I would love that.
Let's just do one now. Right now it's Talk to Me.
Such a good choice.
Yeah, it's one of the newer ones for sure, but right now it's that.
I had to buy the hand from Talk to Me.
Oh, sick.
A24, so that makes like a statue of the hand, but the hand is also a pipe.
Oh.
So you can, smoke out of like the finger, and then here is
incredible.
I don't really smoke, so I don't know what the parts are called, but it's the part where you put stuff.
Sure. Well, and like of the things one might want to smoke out of.
Yes.
A haunted hand is just it's a risk I'm not willing to take.
Oh, you are one of those.
I just feel like you're playing with fire. I watched the movie. Come on.
I play with fire. I will do those kinds of things, and Incredible. I have very few limits. We need you in Queens of the Dead is very much a horror movie. It's a zombie movie, but we need you in like real scary, like I'm done. Slasher survival kind of movie.
It's what made me want to get in the business in the first place. Horror, like when I saw Nightmare on Elm Street, I was way too young. Snuck it somehow, saw a grainy version or something. And I immediately was like, I went to the library because back in the day, you had to go to the library, and you still should. And I found all these books on practical effects and visual effects, and I just wanted to know how they did all this stuff. And I found out, it was like a super cheap, like a low budget, and they had like a spandex wall that they had, and
so cool.
And it looked so good, and his hands were like, he had this thing where his hands stretched across. It was magnets that they had to like finagle a magnet situation. So I got so obsessed with that, started buying like with my allowance little like makeup things, latex skin and stuff like that, and fake blood, and I would just mess with people. Which,
are you good at applying it?
As a kid, it looked real. It did look real. It looked like I had little scabs and stuff. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then I started doing acting classes and little plays as a kid, and I think that's kind of where I started.
That's so cool. We did a like a special effects makeup collaboration during lockdown where they were sending out, boxes to people so that you could take classes virtually. I'll just never forget that I put it on I thought I did a crappy job. Like I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I can see the outline. And then I was staying with my parents at the time. I went downstairs and I'm like, Mom, look what. Scared her half to death.
Yeah.
And then I felt so bad. Yeah. It was also so funny.
I know. It's the risk we take, right?
I know. Every once in a while, you need that kind of laugh.
Yeah.
All right. Second roll on the tower here.
All right. Another one.
You're meant to be in a horror movie. You can reroll.
Okay, I can reroll. What happens if it's one? It's 7. All right.
Oh, this is my Running Man question. We ask this every once in a while, but it felt like I should theme it Running Man because it's game show. If you could be on the reality game show of your choice, what show would you pick, and could you actually win it?
I don't watch a lot of reality anything. What are you? Oh yes. The floor is lava.
Oh,
would want to do The Floor is Lava.
I wish The Floor is Lava still existed.
I know. Me too.
I also wish Guts still existed.
Yes. A Legend of the Hidden Temple.
I was just having a conversation about that with someone.
Any of those. Would I win? Maybe. I'm a little clumsy. I'm very prone to slippery textures. I just feel like the goo would get me, but I would give it a good college try.
Okay. Can you do like American Ninja Warrior type stuff? I feel like you'd be good at that.
People just really underestimate how lazy I am. It just seems like a lot of work. A lot of work.
How can you think you are lazy when you've done how many movies in a 4-week span?
I guess it's a different type of effort. Like, could I don't know. I just don't feel like it.
It's also a very specific kind of training.
It's so specific. You have to have a setup for that, and they keep coming up with newer, more insane things to do. There was a world where I thought, oh, that'd be fun, and then now I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
I get it. Stick to movie stunts. You're quite good at that.
Yeah,
I'll respect staying in that lane.
Stick to that and Floor is Lava.
Yeah, Floor is Lava too. One more roll in the tower, and then we are on to the meat of the conversation. Six. Queens of the Dead. Or at least this is another question we ask often, but because that's a zombie movie, I'm applying it to this. It's our zombie apocalypse question. Let's say there is a zombie outbreak. You can pick 2 past co-stars to team up with. Who do you choose that you think will give you the best chance of surviving the outbreak?
2 past co-stars to help me survive. Tom Cruise knows how to fly a helicopter. If he would allow me to sit in there, I think we could do that. I think there's also like a cruise ship option at some point, right? So that's great. I would love to call Tom. And man, I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of co-stars that are very capable.
I was gonna say, I feel like of all people I've posed this question to, you have like the widest wealth of people to choose from.
I know. Now I'm thinking like maybe I would just also bring Omid because I'd like to just hang out. You know, Omid Abtahi. You know, that's my work husband. We've like already kind of traveled the world together for conventions and stuff.
I feel like convention traveling, like if you can find someone you can do all that with, that is a person you can apply to any situation.
Yeah, I think we know almost everything about each other. Yeah, we've gone to Australia or New Zealand together. I mean, UK a couple times, like all over the US. Yeah, I'll bring my work husband because I think we could just like at least tolerate each other.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a new edition of Collider Ladies Night. An old favorite, Katy O'Brian, is back. The coolest thing about you coming back to the show is that we were just talking about how it feels like a million years ago, but it also wasn't that long ago, and I can't believe how many new things there are to discuss. So, well done. Well done.
It's crazy, but thank you for having me. Always so much fun, and I am excited that there's other stuff to talk about.
I actually didn't ask you the traditional first question last time, so I thought I would bring it back here. What is the movie you saw, the performance you saw, or personal experience you had that made you know to your core, I absolutely have to be an actor?
I don't know. About like in terms of seeing a performance that was like, I want to be an actor. I saw, when I saw Silence of the Lambs, I thought, I mean, Jodie and Anthony Hopkins, they're just like, just incredible performances. But then I was like, maybe I want to be in the FBI. You know, like I'll do this job in the FBI, which apparently doesn't super exist.
Yeah.
As I found out later in life. As I like studied psychology.
But then you became a cop.
Yeah, well, yeah. And then, which is a totally, obviously also a different route. But I think that movie kind of pushed me into a direction. And then as I saw, I remember watching like House as in college. And I was like, oh, I should do neuroscience. And then I was like, maybe I should just be an actor instead of trying to go all these different routes.
Sometimes I ask this particular question that kind of pertains to that. If you could learn about a different profession or pick up a new skill via a role, what would you choose and why?
I always love learning like a new fighting style. It is so fun. I think we took a forgery class. It's Adam's Forge in Los Angeles, and it was so fun. I think I would love to do something where I work with my hands, and I would love to like learn a trade, like a practical trade, that maybe if the apocalypse happened or whatever, I could do something with it, be of some use. I don't know. I think it's just something sexy too about just like smacking metal or woodwork or something. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That'd be fun.
I like that. That's a good answer to that one. So here's where I start to get back to what we spoke about last time that I'm kind of following up on. You had mentioned you always wanted to act, but it didn't seem realistic to you. So now I want to know, what was the first thing that happened that made you think it was a realistic career path for you?
Well, it was also weird when I came out here. I just it was the time that androgyny was cool. It's like every casting breakdown was like androgynous. And then they realized that this is a stupid way to say it, but ethnically ambiguous. That was all on every casting thing.
What year was this?
This was
so I can connect the dots to maybe things that I've seen.
2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was when Marvel was just, really in its prime. Walking Dead. It was like superheroes and zombies. And so I kind of like, I got to hit the ground running in a way that I thought really didn't make sense. The Walking Dead was the first thing that I ever booked. And then I think a couple weeks later, I booked How to Get Away with Murder. And then shortly after that, Halt and Catch Fire. And then shortly after, it was like a very late, I didn't go very long period of time without working. And then I got Z Nation as a series regular within maybe 2 years of moving out here. And after that, it was like, I did have to kind of take a couple steps back and do co-star stuff again and like one lines again. And went back to acting class to see what I needed to change or whatever. But I've just been very, very fortunate in that I think the timing was right in a weird way. And I was able to pay the bills.
It wasn't until just now when you said Halt and Catch Fire that I connected the dots between Halt and Catch Fire and Running Man. Now you're in a movie with Lee.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I never watched Halt and Catch Fire. So good. I know. I heard it's amazing. I've just never seen it.
Every single time I see a list of, I don't know, shows that weren't watched enough.
Yeah.
Even though that show had a pretty big fan base, that's always on it. I think that was one of the biggest gems of that time period. You had said a couple of, you were just bringing up acting classes. And that was that was another thing that I had jotted down. Because last time we spoke, you had told me that when you joined the police department after college, you were also doing an acting class on the side. And just the biggest nerd for the variety of acting techniques out there. So I do want to know, what drew you to that specific acting class at that time? Were they teaching a certain technique that you thought would speak to you?
It was the only film acting class in Indiana. It was my only option, but it wound up being really good. My coach there, Jim Doherty, he majored in theater at Indiana University, which is where I went to school too, and was a working actor as well. He had an agent out in Georgia and was doing lots of different roles on random shows and movies and stuff. So he likes to take a lot of different types of techniques to kind of like give people options. But it was really just, for me, it was like just connecting to a character. And I didn't ever really pay attention to like a type of technique. Because when I read them, and maybe I'm dumb, but it all kind of sounds the same to me. It's like, how can I relate to this character? How can I bring my experience to this character? How do the words on the page speak to me? It's all about how you honestly just can't see the world outside of your own lens. Like, you can't. So you have to take the way you see the world and be able to mold it to another character. There's like what's his name? Herman Hesse, I think, was, because he traveled a lot when he was writing. And he's like, until you know 10 different ways to say snow, or like until you've seen lots of different types of snow, you don't know that there are 10 different ways to describe it. Until you've seen this, and this, you've traveled, you've experienced things, whatever, you don't know it. So I think it was just like, trying to find those experiences or similar experiences or figure it out or like think it through or really read and understand what that person's going through my own frame of reference. But like when I moved out to LA, I dropped into John Rosenfeld for a bit. The teacher I had there was really into Meisner technique, and I didn't super understand what we're doing. Read Stella Adler, really liked Stella Adler. And I guess maybe that's what I don't know.
I'll lean into this a little further, but when I use the word technique, it doesn't have to apply to like a more formal one like that. Can you tell me something about how you approach preparing to play a character or to tackle a scene that has stayed the same for you since day one? Something you know you can always lean on to get your work done. But then can you also tell me a technique that you have tried more recently for a role and for the very first time?
Yeah, I think consistently it's just trying to understand where that character fits into the world and into the script. I rely a lot on the script for clues and just understanding the whole world and where this specific being might fit in there. If a script is bad, it's almost impossible for me to figure out how to do that. And I have to either go back with notes or do the best I can. More recently, I started listening to music, like almost making a soundtrack for my character or something. If I feel like I'm struggling in some way or need it, it's a nice thing to fall back on.
What character started that?
Jackie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and Kristen and Rose also. Kristen and Rose both had their own little soundtracks and stuff too. So it was like a really cool. Rose really kind of immersed me and helped me get the tone. I feel a lot of people. It's been a while since I've been on a project where I've gotten here's the tone, here's like references, like visual references, here's this, but I definitely got that for Love Lies Bleeding. It's very helpful.
I love that. We're going to come back to that one in a second. I wanted to ask one of my other favorite technique questions, because I do love the fact that every actor has a different approach to the work. I feel like that is something that makes everything like super stimulating and exciting, both for the people on set and also for me as a viewer. Can you name a co-star you had where their approach to the work was very similar to your own, where you're like, the second we met, like I knew we were in sync, but then I also want an example of the opposite, someone who challenged you to adapt and maybe even try something new and for the better?
I don't know, because I don't often ask what people's process is, or in watching, it seems like I feel like pretty I don't know that I do anything like exceptionally different than a lot of other people. I will say when I worked with Ed Harris, he's like so good, like so crazy good.
He's a force.
And there were moments where I sometimes struggle to like push through a scene if something like knocks me out of it. But Ed had an energy where he could keep you in that scene. And I remember like with Love Lies Bleeding, the wig was like tricky. And there was a moment, it actually got cut from the movie, which is just like, it makes me so mad. But where I come back to his place, he like kind of beats me a little bit. But my wig kept, like the lace kept showing. And he would keep me in the moment, fix the wig, like just with his fingers, just touch it a little bit, whatever, keep me in, keep kind of his zone, take it back a few steps, just like a couple words or something, and start from there. And it was like, at no point did we have to call cut. At no point did I have to break. I was there. It just kind of like transcended everything else. It was really, really cool. Whereas sometimes, prop magazine falls off, props, and, something goes wrong. You're like, oh, fuck, I got to start all over. I don't know if I can cuss, but
you can curse.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just it gave me kind of a new, I don't know, level to have to aspire to, for sure.
What a good quality to have in a scene partner. I love that. This is a question that I had jotted down that I was just curious about because you do so much stunt work. Can you tell me some techniques that cross over when it comes to learning lines and also learning stunt choreography, but then also different techniques that apply to both, that are distinct to learning what you have to in order to pull both of those things off?
Yeah. I mean, again, the writing, the choreo, if they don't flow, they don't flow. If the writing is bad, it's very difficult to memorize. If the choreo doesn't make sense, it's very difficult to memorize. There's a rhythm and a musicality to everything. And if it lacks that, it's just like, you just feel like it's going to be terrible. So I will say that there's like, I think it's the rhythm. I think it's when you have that great source material, it just kind of flows. It's like, I can't remember what sides we had. Anyway, I'll skip that. Anyway, but it was like just loads and loads of dialogue, but it was so well written that you could almost memorize it in one go.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah. I will say, for me, with dialogue, I had a coach tell me, if you memorize it too soon, you're going to screw it up. And if specifically, there's always going to be that one word that you rushed too quickly to memorize. And you're always going to trip up on that one word. So it's read it word for word, and make sure that you memorize it correctly the first time, and then you won't have that hang up. And that actually has been a game changer, because I like try to do everything too fast. I think like a lot of people. And so I've had to take it word for word, which has been super helpful. And I sometimes, if I get like rushed, I get a line, a page way too, like right before I have to go on set or something, I see myself almost wanting to fall back into that trap. So with choreo, I at least get, like, there's oftentimes you have to readjust and adapt and change to the camera angles, or to suddenly, you're not going up against a stunt person anymore. You're going up against the other actor or something. So I see that a little bit less. For that, it's like, I think, you have to care for your scene partner in acting too. But if I like say the wrong word, it's like, fine. If I punch somebody really hard, it's maybe not. So I think there's just like, there's a level of holding back, or a level of caution that you have to have, especially when you're physically responsible for somebody else.
Makes all the sense in the world. You saying like learning it the right way first is sticking in my mind. It just makes me think of times where, like, I'll read a book and I'll pronounce the character names my way, and then the movie comes out, and when I talk about the characters, it's been confirmed that the name is actually pronounced a different way, but I can't stop saying what I heard in my head when I initially read the book.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I think that was everybody with Hermione, right? Like,
well, I also thought about it with Hunger Games too. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. Now, years later, and so many films later, I know exactly how to say them. To start to lean into a couple of specific titles, but I'll start with a broader question. I love asking this question. Do you remember the very first show or film that you did that made you feel like you were being seen the way you wanted? A performance you gave that made you stop and go to yourself, like, yes, this well represents, one, what I'm capable of to this industry, but also the types of things that I'm interested in doing?
It's going to be Love Lies Bleeding. I feel like
I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah, that was the first time that I was given a true character, I think. And one that that really spoke to me, that challenged me, like, I loved my Mandalorian character, but it was like, you had to say each line like 40 different ways, and they kind of mold it to what they want it to be. And you wind up just not even knowing who the person is. So yeah, Love Lies Bleeding was the one. And honestly, since then, I don't think I've felt the same. It's one of those things where you're like, will I ever get that again?
You will.
Yeah.
And I will say I'm glad that the answer to that question was that specific movie, because I love when someone expresses, I don't know, like a thought like that, and I can see, the industry, fans, and also people who work in it like respond that way to the material, because from the outsider perspective, Love Lies Bleeding felt like a bit of a game changer to me for you. So another question I had jotted down, is there a before and after Love Lies Bleeding for you in terms of how you viewed yourself and your position in the industry, and also maybe what was possible for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was such a fight to get that part. I did like 6 auditions, even though I walked in, honestly, I was like, who else? It was the first time I was like, this is my part. But I also have this attitude of like, if you don't want me, don't, I'm not going to waste your time. I mean, it was the first time I felt that way. It was the first time like I felt like I was given a true opportunity. It's, kind of a lead.
It is a lead.
Yeah. And I don't think I'd had something like that. And it was also, I always felt like I was brought in at the end of things. I came in season 9 of The Walking Dead. I came in at the last season of Z Nation. I came in with the 34th Marvel movie. The third season, I just felt like I was always at the end of something. And so I got to come in this is like a one and done, maybe, I assume. I got to come in like to an A24 project when A24 is like, just killing it. And it was very special for me in that it just felt like it was a new thing. And after that, I just started getting job offers and not necessarily always having to read too, which was very unique to me.
What were the jobs that were coming your way after that? Because like another thing that I keep thinking about with how you, just for a lack of a better term, broke out with that movie is that like I can't box that movie into any one thing. So it's one of those exciting things where I feel like the opportunities that are coming your way might be more vast than, let's say, if someone breaks out with a Marvel movie and a Marvel movie alone and they're only seen that way.
Yeah. Christy's one of them. It's a totally, it's a biopic and I'm playing a real person. And that was something that scared me too, because, it's like Christy Martin's story is, first of all, incredible. Like unreal. Kind of shocked that I had never heard it before, especially considering that I love like women's sports. And you just so badly want to do it justice. And you're, when you're playing a real person with a real heart and a real soul, you want to make sure that they feel seen, represented, all of that. So, it's very fortunate in terms of getting to play Lisa that we had a conversation. We're kind of like very similar people. She's hilarious. And we got on really well right away. So that was like something I don't think would have come about without Love Lies Bleeding, to get to see that I had at least some range maybe. And maybe would be up for the challenge of something like that. But then I love like The Running Man. Edgar kind of wrote this part a little bit with me in mind. And it's so different than anything I've gotten to play. And I was kind of honored because it's kind of similar to like if I hadn't grown up after college and I just kind of partied a little bit too late in life, right?
Yep.
I might be this person, right? But it was fun that somebody saw that side of me too, this silly, like kind of more wild side, I guess.
And then, like looping in Queens of the Dead, also like so much range in such a short span of time. I love it. I jumped ahead a little bit with some of that. I just had Tessa Thompson on the show, and I asked her this particular Marvel question, but for you, I'll kind of batch Marvel and Star Wars together, because I feel like from the outsider perspective, whenever someone gets the opportunity to join a big franchise like that, people might think like, that right there is the golden ticket. It's easy breezy from that point on. And, I don't want to discount that. Sometimes it does function as a golden ticket of sorts, but there's layers to that experience. So the way that I was touching on that is, can you tell me something that happened after joining either franchise that like made things better for you, made other opportunities feel within reach, but then also pinpoint a misconception you had about what it meant to join a big franchise like them?
I think, the biggest misconception I had was that, it was going to be, like, a 1 and done. Like, I was going to come in, and I was going to be this, like, really, really good person. And it was not. It was After Ant-Man, after the premiere, I had a producer come up and say, your life's going to change after this. And I was like, I'm always very much like, I'll believe it when I see it. And it didn't. It really didn't. I don't feel like it did almost anything for my career necessarily. Like, it gave me more experience. I got to meet people that I adored. But in terms of, getting that next job, I don't know that it did. And with Mandalorian, what I will say is because it is such a popular show, but also because you get to work with so many different directors. I got Ant-Man because I worked with Peyton Reed on Mandalorian. And I got Twisters because I worked with Lee Isaac Chung. And I definitely credit that to pushing the needle a little bit. I think getting that opportunity to show that at least I'm tolerable to work with, I guess, and that people are bringing you onto their other projects, and that I finally, I got to go from television to blockbusters now. I think that helped, but it is interesting. Like, I was talking to, I wanted to have a mentor who was in the industry who, wasn't a rep of mine that could like really give me the harsh truth. And I told her, hey, I've got this on my resume right now and I can't even get an agent. And she goes, that's because nobody cares. It's like what is going to push the needle changes constantly. So at the time, no one cared that I was in Star Wars or Mandalorian or Ant-Man, or Marvel, whatever. They just didn't care anymore.
You did both of those franchises and didn't have an agent before or right after them?
I had an agent before, got a manager that suggested that we like try to go out to other agencies, and I don't feel like cheating is appropriate. So we tried for over a year. I couldn't even get someone to like open the door. And then this person said, when Love Lies Bleeding comes out, that's the thing that people want right now. So that will probably get you an agent. And it did. But it took over a year.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question. Truly shocking experience when like you're part of two of the biggest franchises of all time. That's just wild to me. I do want to lean into the idea of finding the right agent because I feel like that's something we don't talk about nearly enough. So you need to take that time and have that right person come along. Can you tell me a little bit about what made that person the right fit for you? What made you think that they were someone that wouldn't just like get you work, but rather get you the kind of work that fills you up creatively and speaks to you?
The first and foremost, I didn't have to hunt him down. He wrote me a letter, and he took the time to write me a letter. It was a very beautiful letter.
Are you able to say the person's name? So
yeah,
we can
Alex
give him credit?
Jarosh, yeah.
Okay.
And when I met with him, it was actually like a 4-man team right away, which was wild to me. But they made it very clear that they wanted me to be a priority, and I also love I'm with Gersh. I love that they're not like obscenely massive. I feel like it's possible for me to get lost in the loop of things, especially still trying to, claw my way in. And some of the bigger agencies, I just don't know that I would be necessarily as much of a priority. And also, I was reading this book kind of about agencies and like it is just a very bizarre, ever-changing kind of thing.
Think about it all the time.
Yeah. And you're just like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into if I go here or here or here. But yeah, and they're very responsive. They've definitely take time to listen to what I actually want. We're just trying to find new ways to perform, I guess.
What is something that still remains on your acting bucket list that you're eager to take next?
So many things. I mean, I've gotten to do a lot of supporting work. I would love to do more lead or close to lead work, I want to do a thriller like, I remember growing up, you had Silence of the Lambs, you had The Bone Collector, you had...
I was obsessed with The Bone
Black
Collector.
Dahlia. I know, right?
I don't know what that says about me as like a child.
It was so good, though. At the time, I haven't seen it in years, but
used to scare the shit out of me. I loved it.
I was afraid to take a taxi for a long time. And it was just so cool, you know. It was just at the time. Maybe I'll rewatch it and I'll be like, ugh. But Black Dahlia was, you know, it was like all of these crime thrillers that now have moved to limited series. It's like they've just readjusted. I haven't really seen one for film lately. But I love that kind of thing. I love the slow burn. I love the big reveal in the end. I think is fun. A good thriller. I want to do an action. I want to do like a true, you know, fist fight action where I actually get to use my martial arts training. Like really don't get to do whatever, which is wild. I'd love to do a rom-com where I'm actually part of the rom. I'd love to. There's so much. There's so much I haven't done still, and would love to.
I like hearing that, but there's also so much you have done that you should be so proud of. I want to get into some of the recent titles now. First one on my list here is Christy. You brought it up briefly before. Phenomenal work, by the way, too. And not to make this a review of your movie to your face, but one of the things that impressed me most about your performance is that, you know, screen time wise, you only get so much to work with. And it's so vital for you to be able to sell like every ounce of like feeling and connection between the two characters so that when we get to the end, those final scenes have the emotional payoff that they need. And I thought the two of you did that together beautifully. First question I have on my list with that one, that is the first time you've ever played a real person, right?
Yes. To my knowledge.
Oof. Something else. So I know you have met the real Lisa before. When you jump into prepping, that I'll give you a surprise. Big two-part question about that. What is a burning question you had for her that you needed answered in order to like feel ready to play her? But then on the other hand, can you tell me something that she shared with you that maybe surprised you in terms of how influential it became?
Lisa was incredibly giving. And, you know, it's like while I was talking with her, she was working, you know, and she'd be like, okay, I got to go back to work. I'll call you when I'm done, you know. And I had a very short time to try to nail this person down, basically. And it was like a 2-hour phone call, and then I was on set. I don't think a lot of people realize how quick these turnarounds are sometimes. And when I was talking to her, she was born in Hawaii, was raised in Texas. Just like such a cool way of speaking that I just knew I wouldn't have time to nail. And there's not as much footage of her fighting. And I knew that, again, I wouldn't have, I'm also Muay Thai background and everything. It's a different stance. I knew I wouldn't be able to like be her, you know. I just didn't have the time to like totally transform. And I told her that, and I'm like, whatever I wind up doing, just know I'm doing my best. I'm not trying to make fun of you or anything. Like, I don't know if you're going to hate this, whatever. And she goes, I don't care. She's like, this is Christy's movie. I know that in this movie, we're supporting her. I'm supporting her. Like, that's what I do. And so it was like knowing how much she cares for Christy, and also just how blunt and honest she was about that time. And her feelings around that time and that period going on was very, very helpful. And then she said, I think the big thing that stuck with me was like, she is a very intuitive person. And when she showed up and saw Christy when they were training for the Layla Ali fight and everything, she's like, the one thing she really remembers was how sad she was, how sad Christy was. And she's like, if I were Christy Martin and I had all the success in the world, all these wins under my belt, all this, I feel like I would be happy, but she's not. And that really, really stood out to her. And so I think for the purposes of this movie too, when Lisa comes in, she sees it and clocks it. And there's actually a weird POV shift almost, and says something. And I think that's so very important because a lot of times people see something and don't say something. And you know, there are still boundaries and everything. And so she's not like, you got to leave, you know, this or whatever. But yeah, I think it was really, I think sadly, just seeing it and saying something made her stand apart from pretty much everyone else in the movie.
Oh, it's so incredibly true. That moment hits significantly because of it. just bringing up what you had just said. It's fascinating when you're playing a real person, the pressure to, I guess, feel like you want to get it absolutely perfect, but also there's a situation where, like, I don't know, imitation shouldn't necessarily be the priority versus like honoring the person, but by making their screen story your own in a sense. I find that balance and finding the way to strike it well such a fascinating part of the process.
Yeah, I think my big thing was I just didn't want her to like be embarrassed by my performance. You know what I mean? I didn't want her to like, because she kind of talks the same way my dad talks, and I was just really trying to get it down a little bit. It's like everything she says is like thought out. In a way, it's very not meticulous, but just there's something about the way she speaks and the way that my dad speaks that just really like feels like home in a weird way. But I just was figuring out how to get that down at least, because that's totally. I don't even know how I talk. I feel like I sound like a child or something, but totally different way of speaking. And then I don't know. I had I just blown my back out, and I had like 2 tears in my shoulder when I was filming that. So I feel like my movements were really stiff, but it might have worked for someone that's,
It's just incredible, like what you know and what I see.
Yeah.
Because I don't see any of that whatsoever. I feel like, all the goals of those particular scenes, like I'm on it. I will never not say anything that I believe to my core. I feel like you knock it out of the park exactly the way it needed to be.
Welcome to the Running Man.
I was talking about this with Edgar and Glen and Lee on the panel a little bit. I've seen him in action movies before, but this feels a little different. He's the lead. It's a very different kind of action, and it's just like a lot on his shoulders. So what is something about him as the star of this movie, but also as like the number one on the call sheet that I guess had that kind of trickle down effect you would want in a leader like that?
Yeah, I think, yes, like Twisters, I feel like advertisement wise, they like made it seem like it was Glen's movie, but it was so Daisy's movie, But we just on that set just became such a cool team. We still have a thread that we text to, regularly. And one thing was like, I think it was like one of the first days or whatever, we were all there that Glen was like, let's go get dinner, And every time we'd go out, we would pretend it was David Cornsweat's birthday. And it was always, and he would like really like, he would take it. It would be mortifying to me to have happy birthday sung to me like 1,000 times.
That's my worst nightmare.
Yeah, but because of that, and we were all on location, we're kind of lonely. We had so many delays because there were actual tornadoes, So we actually became kind of, I think, like a little family, and I still like hang out with those guys, and that starts from the top. It starts from the top, saying there's no number on this call sheet, which I think is really lovely. And then on Running Man, I mean, bless him, first of all, with London, it's like you either are in a hotel close to set or where there's nothing to do, or you're in the city an hour away. And Glen is filming, it's every day. There's no breaks. It's a lot on his body. It's so much work. And these stunts are wild. I think you can see a lot of that from the trailer, just really, really wild stuff. And he comes in with a smile on his face, a great attitude, and is just excited to be there. So that says everything, I've been very fortunate that I haven't really encountered someone that was just thought they were better than everyone else.
So many good people around you.
Yeah.
I love it. Leaning into your specific character now. In our press notes, I found it funny that they described her as chaos personified, which is accurate, but it could also mean so many different things. So it made me want to ask you, when you first read her on the page, how did you picture her? And then how did she evolve when you started to embody her and also play around with the character on set with the production design, the costume, your scene partners, all that good stuff?
Yeah. I knew that there were certain types of runners. They were like, they break them down. And I really love the chaotic energy that she was reading. But we have like Julian and Shida were the costume designers in this, and they did Rocket Man to give you an idea, right? So I walked in and I saw what they were thinking in terms of costume design for the character, and right away I was like, oh, this is even more insane than I initially thought. And then you go to hair and makeup too, and they gave me like probably the coolest haircut I've ever had in my life. Like I felt so much cooler from the makeup, and it's funny because there was like for the eyes or whatever, Kristen Stewart is like on a reference of half of my things that I do. Like it's always some of her hair, makeup, whatever. So I text her and I was like, here you are again. So yeah, I just like I got to just look cool, be cool, and I think as I started to kind of get further on in the process, I think I just went kind of full camp. I just wanted to be like as just ridiculous as possible.
You look like you're having so much fun doing that, and I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah, I just was living a truth of mine in some way, shape,
I
or
want
form.
a whole like a sister sequel where it's just Laughlin's journey the entire time. I would watch that from beginning to end.
It would be a lot. It'd be a lot of, I think the debauchery would be, get over it after a while.
I don't know. I would watch that in a heartbeat probably for way too long. A couple of movie magic type things I want to ask you about. The first one, we'll get into spoiler territory in a quick second, but this one is not. I just want to know the movie magic that goes into shooting the tube scene. Do you actually get to do anything, or is it a matter of like filming you in the exit tube and then just like cut and then
I was like, what
you're
are
on
you
your
talking
way?
about? Yeah, it would be that then. Get in there, the little like things, the shoulder pads kind of sink down on you, which I was just like, this is it. This is how I break something. Because I just didn't know, and then you pretend to fall, and then
we see Glen going through the tube. I was wondering if maybe you got to like go on a fun ride and it just got cut or something.
They didn't let me do as much as I want. Usually I get to have a little more collab and be a little more involved in the stunt process. For whatever reason on this side, I wasn't able to do that, which was such a bummer because Laughlin gets to do so many cool things. But I get like a cool little slide across a car and some other little things that I got to do, but not as much as I normally would like.
I'll raise the spoiler warning so we can get into some of that a little more heavily right now. So if you haven't seen The Running Man, push pause, go run out, see it on the big screen, and then come right back and push play, and conversation continues on. So your big set piece that we get in the casino, can you maybe single out the most challenging part of all of that choreography that you have to do?
Keeping the white suit white. I'm not even joking.
That's so real. I love it.
And I think I ripped it a couple times because they had I think 6 sets of this like stunt suit, and my God, they were so good. And every suit was just embroidered. It was beautiful because it was a plain white suit, and they just made it this amazing thing. And I had to slide down this escalator, and the black oil to keep it, lubed up and moving, just kept rubbing off on the suit. And so, like, between takes, we had Katy was like on my set costumer. She would like put this white tape over it. Is basically what our resolve was, to just cover it with white tape. And then I had these little like stockings because you can't. There's too much friction on your hands, so it would stop you. So I had stockings to help me like slide down. And I think you can even see. I don't know if they CGI those out. You might be able to see it. So, and then. It was, and then the next, it was so cold outside. We were in Scotland, just biting cold, a different type, just hits you in the bones. And I've got like a midriff, my abdomen is completely exposed, and we're doing a lot of stuff outside. And I was just like disassociating in a way, just pretending I wasn't existing. But they did their best to keep me warm.
Those costume pieces, like, that's true movie magic to me.
Stuff you don't think about. Yeah.
It's like my favorite form of VFX is hidden visual effects.
Yeah.
Where you don't know, but it's such an important part. But also true movie magic is being cold and not showing it. Or at least from the perspective of someone who is always cold and lets everybody around her know it.
Yeah. No, I was. I mean, everyone was. And there were like, because I think we were pretending it was like a Vegas-y kind of situation. And there were so many, in the UK, they call them essays, background actors, in like nothing. So it's hard for me to complain when at least I have like pants and a jacket on, and they're like in short dresses and super high heels and stuff. I'm like, ugh, I guess I should shut up.
All right, I'm going to hit the most spoilery question of them all. What was your very first impression when you found out how Laughlin was going to go out?
It's like cool and annoyed at the same time.
I get it.
I'm glad they let me come back for that because originally it was like you didn't even see it, which is I was so bummed about. So I got to come back and they filmed a little extra. But yeah, I mean, you always want like, when does this come out? This comes out after.
After, don't worry.
Yeah.
Safe
so
space.
you got the negative man, which is like when they're going through and they're talking about the different types of runners. You got the negative man. He goes out like guns blazing, bomb, whatever. And I was like, this is how all right. But
there's something about her, like her bravado and the way that she walks around with maximum confidence and not a care in the world, only to fall into a trap like that.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of made all the sense in the world to me, especially as it aligns with, like, the heightened tone of the movie.
Okay. Well, you've seen it. I haven't yet.
Truly, that was my read on that. But I understand wanting to go out and, like, a blaze of glory.
I was like, couldn't I, like, at least get the kids? Like, something. But I get it.
I understand that. We've hit the end of Ladies' Night, and I want to open up this particular question to any of the recent movies that you've made, because so much good stuff right now. We end every single edition of Collider Ladies' Night with this question, and people sometimes don't like it, but I like it because it's an important thing to think about. In film and television, we give each other awards. That is absolutely wonderful. I think we should keep on doing that. I find that nobody stops to tell themselves good job as much as they need to. So I want to know something you accomplished on Running Man, Christy, Queens of the Dead, that will always make you look back on that moment and go like, I am so proud of what I did there. As I say that question, I realize did we ever get to it on the live Ladies' Night at Comic-Con? I actually don't think we did.
No.
We didn't.
No.
So you have never answered this question before.
I haven't, and I struggle to because I'm always like so hypercritical. So like what I think my accomplishment is that I did it. It's like, I mean, last year was super rough. I did 3 movies in the UK, 2 on the East Coast. I was almost never home. I was in the air for like 2 weeks at least, like just of my life zapped away on airplanes. I blew my back out squatting. I didn't listen to my body, and I had 2 tears in my shoulder. I started to have it was the first time in my life I've had so many, I just felt broken, physically broken. And I powered through, and I did all those projects, and I am proud of that. And this year I've taken time to rehab and take care of myself again.
That is something to be proud of. I always talk about the importance of going all in for this type of work, but also the importance of practicing self-care every step of the way, because otherwise there's going to be a wall you're going to hit and you're never going to break through it. But you did so much good stuff this year, so much stuff coming your way. I'm going to say congratulations on everything you've accomplished. Let's say The Running Man in particular right now, because we're celebrating that movie's release, and also everything that is going to come your way in the future. I know you're going to be back in the studio very soon. This is a manifestation table. We speak what we want into existence here.
Because your girl needs a job.
You will be back. I know it with certainty, and I can't wait to talk about what the next project is.
Awesome. Thank you.